In this video, I'll be sharing 20 terms with you. If you're interested in learning more about UX design or product design, if you are beginning to be a UX designer or product designer, or if you work with a UX or product designer on a regular basis.
My name is Angela and I'm a visually impaired designer.
Hey, what's up everyone? How you doing? In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about UX design or product design. These are two terms that are kind of interchangeably used and just used depending on who's talking. They'll use either UX design or product design. So let's go ahead and jump right into the terms. The first term is a design system. This is a set of guidelines which include elements such as color, patterns, photo style, typography, etc. to help create a cohesive and organized brand. So basically, this is a set of rules or guidelines that help you know what you need to do to make your brand consistent from platform to platform or screen to screen, depending on what you're working on. And also, if there's more than one designer working on the same project, or one that's working on it now currently, or they worked on it in the past, then it can be handed off to a different designer. So it just makes it easy so that it stays cohesive over time. The next term is a mood board, and this is an arrangement of images, materials, pieces of text, etc. intended to evoke or project a particular style or concept for the intended design. These are just ways to help show like what you want the look and feel of your product to be. This can help you make a more cohesive brand, like we mentioned in the design system, because everyone can look at the mood board, or even if it's just for yourself, you can see your mood board and be reminded of the look and feel that you were going for. This can also help you collect your thoughts on what you want your design to look like, and that way you can kind of see if things work well together and where you're missing things. The next term is storyboard. This is a tool that visually predicts and explores a user's experience with a product. This helps a designer understand the flow of people's interaction with a product over time, giving the designers a clear sense of what's really important for users. So a storyboard is essentially a way for you to map out how users are using your product or how they use similar products, so you can learn from this storyboard and you can learn about things that you can apply to your own product. The next term is MVP. This means minimal viable product. And this is a version of a product with just enough features to be usable by early customers who can then provide feedback for future product development. So instead of spending so much time and so much money making something absolutely perfect, it's never going to be perfect and you're always going to have new iterations. You're going to be making updates and changes to things. The idea is having an MVP is your plan to have the most basic version of your product so that you can get it out there and get it to customers, and then you can get feedback from them who are actually using it, and then you can make changes based on that and also add other features in the future to build upon that. So it's just a method to get it out there quicker, faster, but making sure that it is functional and works well. The next term is UI elements. These are the parts we use to build apps or websites, and it includes input controls, navigational, and informational components and containers. The next term is affordances. So an affordance is a property or a feature of a product which indicates what can be done with the product. A simple example of an affordance is a doorknob. So a doorknob tells you where you go to open the door. It indicates to you that you can open the door and how you open that door because of the doorknob that's on there. So an example for a digital product like a app or a website would be a button indicates a specific action that you should be taking. And so that would be considered an affordance because it's helping you know what to do and how to do it. The next term is user interface, or UI as some people will shorten it to. And this is the point of human to computer interaction and communication in a device. This can include the display of the screens, keyboards, a mouse, and the appearance of a desktop. The next term is user research, and user research focuses on understanding users' behaviors, needs, and motivations through observation techniques, task analysis, and other feedback methodologies. So this is basically a way to make research work so that you can understand the user better and how you can improve your product to work for your specific users. It's kind of a broad umbrella term for a lot of things that we'll be talking about. The next term is usability testing. And this is a technique used to evaluate a product by testing it on users. This can be seen as an irreplaceable usability practice since it gives direct input on how real users use the system. So in my UX design job, we would create a design for an app and we would test it out ourselves. But because we're the ones who are creating it and we're not the actual target audience of the app, it was always super important for us to go find our target audience. So it was important to us to go to our target audience who is actually using our product on a daily basis, get their feedback on it, have them try out the new features that we're exploring, having them actually do a prototype so they can see if it works for them, see where their problems are. And then that way we gained a lot of information that we could kind of change things around and make adjustments as needed. It's a super effective way to improve your design as long as you're not including biases in your testing. The next term is a focus group, and this is a group interview involving a small number of demographically similar people or participants who have other traits or experiences in common. So basically this is just where you can bring a full group together. That's a smaller group, like I said, and then you can test your product or whatever with that group of people. That way you can get feedback from multiple people, and also you can do some different type of testing that works well in a focus group. This method is nice because then people can feed off of each other and then they can build ideas on top of each other's ideas as well. The next term is a journey map. This is a visualization of a process that a person goes through in order to accomplish a goal. For example, for an app, it would be like, what are they doing that leads them up to wanting to use the app? While they're using the app, what do they do? And then after they've used the app, what type of behaviors or actions are they making? The next term is user flow, and this is the path taken by the user on a website or app to complete a task. The user flow takes them from their entry point through a set of steps towards a successful outcome and final action, such as purchasing a product. So a good example would be buying groceries online. You first enter, you add things to your cart, and then you look around, shop around, and then you check out. Well, looking at a user flow, you would be able to see exactly how they got from point A to point B. You can see what kind of products they're looking at, what things are similar, how they interact with it. Are they adding things and then keep shopping, or do they just quickly go find exactly what they want? How are they searching for things or finding the exact things they want? Are they struggling to find the things they want? And all of these type of questions can be kind of addressed if you look at the user flow of what people are doing. The next term is a persona. This is a fictional character which you can create based on your research in order to represent the different users or type of users that might use your service or product in a similar way. And this helps us to better understand the users and their needs and their behaviors and goals while using the product. And this is super important to be keeping in mind these personas as you're creating your designs, because sometimes you might have different type of users. So when I was creating my app for my language learning, we had beginning learners, we had intermediate learners, and advanced learners. And when you're learning a language, it's going to be totally different how you're learning based on what level you're on. And so we had to find ways to have activities that met all the levels, and we had to make sure that people who were beginning learners weren't so stressed out because they didn't know it, and we had to make sure the advanced learners weren't so bored because they already knew everything. The next term is end user. This is a person who ultimately uses or is intended to use your product. So it's just another way of saying the people who are actually going to be using your product and who they actually are, and really understanding that. The next term is pain point. These are specific problems faced by current or prospective customers, and pain points include any problems the customer may experience along the journey. And this can have to do with the product, or it could be things that affect them, why they would use it, why they wouldn't use it. For example, with the online shopping example, Like having kids would make it more difficult for you to want to go to the store, so they're shopping online because they have kids. So how can we do something with our app to make it more efficient so that it's easy if you have kids to quickly find and add what you need? The next term is fidelity, and this refers to the level of details and functionality built in a prototype. And this can range anywhere from a low fidelity to a high fidelity. Something that could be considered a low fidelity would be something like using sticky notes or quick sketches to think about how you would want things to work. In this stage, you're not really worrying about the visuals or how the product will look. It's more about the functionality and how are people using it? What are they doing when they're using it? What pain points do they have? That kind of thing. Then when you get to the medium fidelity and the high fidelity, for sure, you're worrying more about the affordances, how it looks, how the UI is functioning, is it usable, and can people get around without confusion. The next term is a wireframe, and this is a two-dimensional illustration of a screen interface that specifically focuses on space allocation and prioritization of content. So this can be like showing boxes with X's as representing where images or pictures or icons would go. This wouldn't actually be putting the majority of text in. It would just have like lines or however you want to visually show it. And this is just a quick way to move things around so that you can test things without doing pixel by pixel design. Meaning you're not placing things exactly perfectly how you'll have them when it's a high fidelity design. You're focusing more on where things will be located and how that will work. This will save a lot of time if you don't skip this step, even though it's tempting sometimes. The next term is a prototype, and this is an early sample, model, or release of a product built to test a concept or a process. So when I was in my UX design position, we always used Figma to build our designs. We would build our wireframes in there after we had done sketching and research and everything, and then we would make them into high fidelity prototypes inside Figma, and then I'd give those prototypes to the developers who would then do the coding to make it actual reality. So in Figma, I was able to create prototypes that I was able to share with our users and have them try it out without it actually having to be coded and everything. The next term is A/B testing. This is a research methodology where the testing consists of a randomized experiment with two variants, A and B, and other components of the design stay the same. So say you're not quite sure how you want something to function, and you want to be able to test it, and you think two ways could be viable. So you make everything similar, the same, except for these two different variants. So you do one design with variant A and one with B, and then you randomize who's using what in your testing, and then you can see which design, A or B, works out. Sometimes both A and B work fine, and then you can just decide which one. A lot of times we would mesh the two together because they would like a hybrid of A and B, or sometimes there would be a clear winner where A was more productive or helpful, effective for the user, or B was. So it just depends. It's a good way to kind of test out more than one way quickly. The 20th and last term I have for you today is a responsive design, and this is an approach to web design that aims to make web pages render well on a variety of devices and windows or screen sizes, from minimum to maximum display size, to ensure usability and satisfaction. So basically you need it to be able to work no matter what type of size of screen you have. If it's on a phone, if it's on a tablet, you need to be able to resize it. So you know how sometimes on your desktop you like make your screen smaller so that you can have two things next to each other? If the design reacts to how you're moving it and making the screen smaller, that's considered a responsive design. If it does not and it's at a fixed size, that's not responsive. It can also be super important to make sure you consider landscape mode versus portrait, and if your users will be using both of those, especially when it comes to a tablet, because you're typing in landscape mode with a tablet, not in portrait, but it's the opposite with a phone. All right, that's all the terms I have for you today. I hope this video was helpful. If you found it helpful and you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up so that I know you like this video and I can make more videos like this in the future. Comment below if you have any videos you would like to see me do in the future. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel below, turn on that notification bell so that you can see all the future videos I have coming out, and I hope that you all have a fantastic week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!